I'd like to congratulate Victoria Park Masjid that many years ago I refuted you. The committee know this. And because of your sincerity, the committee, they met me and they said we made amends. They made amends. I refuted the Peer Merasona. They were doing the Peer Merasona and the dancing, and I said it's not appropriate for the masjid. Peer Merasona is not na'at. It's not madh of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What happened today, Burdatul Madih, is praising Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Big difference. So I would like to commend Victoria Park Masjid that you abandon bid'ah in amal. If you say there's a possibility of Allah lying in the Quran, the Christians and the Jews and the atheists will come to your Deobandi thick skull, Usman, your thick Deobandi skull, and they will say to your thick brain that how do you know your Quran is true? How do you know your Quran is true? It's circular reasoning, and this is why Uthman is a retarded Deobandi, a very retarded Deobandi, and Abdul Halim is even worse.
Criticizing Muslim rulers publicly.
I've never heard from our ulama or from the classical works and even the contemporary works where they state criticizing a ruler is prohibited. This is a strange and alien concept to me, because when I read on the Sahaba, Alim Ridwan, our deen is firstly from the companions Alim Ridwan who took it directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know that they would openly criticize even the caliphs, the Al-Khulafa al-Rashidun, when they needed to complain. So this concept of do not criticize rulers, do not criticize the leader is an alien concept to Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It's not something I would deem as being normative Islam. I've only ever heard it from people aligned with certain regimes or governments. With regard to those people in Hyde Park, the problem for me is that Hyde Park is far from Birmingham. Unfortunately, you London Sunnis, not you, the London Sunnis, they have not got one rajul to go down to Hyde Park and counter their arguments, fallacious arguments. Where are you Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in the whole of UK? Where are your debaters and your peers and all these people? Go into Hyde Park and debate them. In London is full of Sunni masajid. You need to counter their arguments. Those who do not do Mawlid the way we commemorate, say to them, fast on the day. It's from the Sunnah in Sahih Muslim. Sacrifice on the day and give the meat out and sing some poetry for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because over 200 companions would sing poetry in praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in this day and age of ghafla, where people are filling up concerts with music, Muslims are going to concerts. They have Pakistan Independence Day, and they do haram when Pakistan was supposed to be an Islamic country. How can you do haram? So now we have our young men and women doing haram, but the mawlid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to remind us that we should go back to Al-Quran al-Kareem and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Mixing between men and women is prohibited. Ikhtilat is when a man can see a woman and sit next to a woman and they are mixing. This is prohibited in the Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they end up having ikhtilat in the gatherings and even in the mawlids. Some people, they have a desire to involve women more into everything. So what they say is that in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the women would pray at the back. So why do we not allow the women into the masjid? They can pray at the back. This is true. They did pray at the back. But please mention additional things. Today, we have Sufi guides that permit women to kiss their hands. We have Sufi guides that will shake hands with women. All of that is prohibited. They say the Shaykh has no shahwa. If the Shaykh had no shahwa, you are insulting him as a man. Having shahwa for women is a praise for a man, not dispraise, because that is how Allah has created a man, that a man is permitted to marry one wife or two wives or three wives or four wives. But instead of marrying to
2 or 3 or 4, what are these people doing? They sometimes commit zina, waliyadhu billah, when the Sharia has permitted you to take 2 wives or 3 wives or 4 wives. Why are you performing haram by allowing women to come and visit you alone? All of these things. Malhama in itself will be a terrible war, and people should not wish to live in the time of Mahdi. There are some people who wish to live in that time. They are deluding themselves. And similarly, some who say, I wish I was in the army of the Mahdi. This is delusion, because 1/3 of the army will run away and be never forgiven for that sin. So that's delusional. Instead, you should ask Allah, He safeguard you from fitan, tribulations. And the fatwa to nuclear weapons is that it is impermissible. And I'm sorry to the Pakistani nationalists. Why? Because if you place a bomb in India, if India bombed Pakistan, which inshallah will never happen, but if they did, the nuclear after effects will enter into India. It harms India to bomb Pakistan. In no way can you say it's a deterrent. It does not deter anything. Similarly, the Pakistani army, if they ever take action on Kashmir, apart from the speech that they do, that if they decided to attack India with a nuclear weapon, which would be disastrous and stupidity, the after effects would enter Pakistan. This is why many nationalists today have lost their hope because of what is happening in Pakistan. But if I had said this many years ago, people would be against me. But currently, the blinkers on people's eyes are open today.